Well, I have an amazing surprise for you tonight. Somebody very special heard about our event and decided that he was going to come here to speak to you all. He is a senior senator from New York and the third highest ranking Democrat in the Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Senator Charles Schumer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you, and I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Rudy for that great introduction. She is just terrific, isn't she? And I want to thank you all for being here and supporting Paya. Now, when Hamid Biglari asked me if I'd come say a few words to celebrate this afternoon, I said, of course. I couldn't have been more pleased, because you are the future. This great Iranian community here in America is the future. And it's the reason that America does so well, and I'll explain that in a minute. But first, I was glad that we have so many volunteers here. You know, one of the strains in America is to volunteer. It doesn't happen in most countries. I don't know what the tradition is in Iran, but not now, I meant before. Now, if you volunteer, you probably get in big trouble. But seriously, when de Tocqueville, the political scientist, came to America in the 1830s, one of the things he said that separated America from the rest of the world is Americans volunteered. They volunteered for a veterans organization or a Little League or the Boy Scouts or a school or a church. And he was utterly amazed at that. Well, by coming together, you are part of that great American tradition. And it warms my heart that Iranian Americans are coming together under such a credible organization like Paya to celebrate the community's success, but also to create an influential voice on Capitol Hill. I know how successful Iranian Americans are in this country. It's a great thing. Paya has shared census statistics with me that show me your community is among the best educated, most affluent, most productive communities in America. That's a tremendous achievement. That's why you're the future. But it's a shame that not so many Americans know about it. Partly this is because most Iranian Americans have achieved that success as individuals, not as part of a community. And while they're individually celebrated, my guess is if you named the most successful Iranian Americans, most Americans would know no idea of their origin. And so it doesn't extend to the broader community. And another reason is Iranian Americans within a generation have melded so effectively into American society. They're seen much more as Americans than as hyphenated Americans, if you know what I mean. You know, Iranian American, Italian American, Irish American. In fact, there was no such term as Iranian American until Paya started to use it. So that's another reason. And partly it's because, despite the tremendous success of Iranian Americans here in the U.S., there's lots of negative media coverage about the politics in Iran. And people form impressions by whatever the biggest, quickest, most powerful image is of that group. Paya's surveys show this, very interesting. This was conducted by Zogby International. They show that almost all Americans who know an Iranian American and know that that person is of Iranian origin have a very favorable impression of the whole community. It's those who you don't know, who don't know you, that form their impressions from what is portrayed in the media. So all of that means one thing. It's very good to come together as a community in this country. I remember sitting down about 4 years ago with a group of the most influential Iranian Americans. And there was no organization, and of course then we were in the wake of 9/11, and lots of things that were unfair and wrong were happening to Iranian Americans for no other reason than their origin. They were as good Americans as anybody else, but these things were happening. And I said, you need a group. That's the American tradition. You need to get together and form an organization. And so I'm so pleased that you have done that and done that so well. The latest indication of the community's success, and this is the way to spread the word about culture, was a resolution that I was very active in and supported and sponsored, the Nowruz resolution in both the Senate and the House. In fact, it passed unanimously in the Senate, doing what all other Americans do, recognizing holidays of significance. And that was a great thing, although there was a lot of, because it's new, when we discussed whether to do it, there was a lot of worry that there'd be a backlash or whatever else, but it didn't happen at all. It was overwhelmingly and positively received by both the House and Senate. In fact, we've got 65 co-sponsors for that bill, which is a majority. Now, today's event is called Passing the Torch of Success, and that's so fitting for this community in particular. And I want to tell you a little story which relates to that and relates to immigration and how important it is to America and to New York, both. And by the way, I told Hamid backstage, my goal is to have more Iranians come to New York from California and everywhere else, you know? So any of you Californians, move. You'll like it better here. I say that as a New Yorker who wants to see New York continue to succeed. But New York and immigrants, New York and America as a whole, one of the main reasons we're a successful society is because we welcome immigrants and we encourage immigrants. Here's a story. I was sitting next to the head of Deutsche Bank. His name was Joseph Ackerman. It's the largest bank in Germany and, of course, one of the largest banks in the world. It was at a charitable event. And I asked him a question I ask many foreigners who I see. I said, Mr. Ackerman, do you think the United States would be the leading economic power in the world 25 years from now? I worry about this. And he said without blinking an eye, absolutely. I said, really? Most Americans don't think that. Although I remembered back in 1985, you students wouldn't remember this, but some of my generation might. Back in 1985, most Americans thought Japan would be the leading economic power by the year 2000. But anyway, so I said to him, what makes you think that we will, without even a wink of an eye, that we will be the leading economic power in the world? He said, because you Americans have something in yours built into your society that no other country has. You take it for granted, but it's the most powerful economic engine one can have. And I said, what's that? He said, you tell a young man or young woman, no matter who they are, where they came from, even if they're a brand new immigrant, that in their profession they can achieve the stars and they should go for it. He said, Europe doesn't have it? You know that. I said, yes. He said, India, you probably imagine, doesn't have it. And I said, yes. He says, neither does China. And it's true. There are many students here, and I'm sure not only your family's values, but American culture has infused in you the idea that you can achieve whatever you want if you work hard. That's an amazing economic engine. And for people who have such a tradition of family and education and tolerance, all of which are part of the Persian culture, there's no stopping you. And this is not only good for the Iranian-American community, it's great for New York, if you all come move here, and it's great for America. And so Lindsey Graham and I are, this has been in the news in the last day or two, but we are proposing an immigration bill which will reform our immigration practices. But let me tell you one thing in our bill. Any immigrant who studies at one of our universities and gets an MA or PhD, and now we're even thinking BA, in math, science, technology, it's STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, the day they get that diploma, they get a green card. And that would be incredible for America. And I do that, I believe in that because I want to see America stay #1, and that's one of the best ways to see America stay #1. So, in conclusion, it's a pleasure to celebrate this event with you. I want to thank in particular Ms. Tamila Gotzi, who put this event together, bringing together students at two of the greatest universities in the world, NYU and Columbia, as well as so many other civic organizations. And as long as I'm around, there will be a close, fruitful, and productive relationship between the senior senator from the state of New York and this great Iranian-American community. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.